UN, and we're very pleased that these 3 women, many of whom we have worked with, have given high-level posts within your administration, and that's also a great pleasure to us. I also want to mention that we were particularly pleased as a good practice to know that you met with the local women's groups in the Mahari slums in Kenya when you were there for International Women's Day, and I would like to highlight that as a practice we hope you will continue, that when you travel globally, you will take time to meet with diverse women's groups on the ground who are living the daily realities that we're working for, but who are also the actors who are making the changes and seeking the changes. And I think we all in this room either represent or learn from them daily. And in that regard, we would just like to point out, why is this chair empty? We had an empty chair for all those women who couldn't get here, particularly because of denial of visas or other obstacles to their presence, and we hope you will. We hope you will work with us to ensure that there are fewer and eventually no empty chairs. We would like to explore in this dialogue how we can work together to break down barriers to gender equality and make faster progress. Right now we're on a track to maybe achieve gender equality about 2021 or 2022. We think it needs to happen in the next 20 years and not in the next century. So we would like to talk to you about how do we advance these commitments in a time where we all know, as you said as well, that there is growing backlash, populist, racist, intolerant extremisms, many of whom have backlash against women's gains, particularly in reproductive and sexual rights, but also in other areas very high on their agenda. And as members of civil society, we have many questions to ask, but we all share the concern about the shrinking space for NGOs at the UN, but particularly at the international level. And finally, I want to highlight the women's human rights defenders, the women at the ground who are facing more threats, more violence, and even death because of their role that they play in defending human rights, not only in women's rights, but in all areas of the human rights system. So we hope that you can talk to us about how the UN can help us to support and defend women who are facing these threats, and what we can do together to have a more feminist United Nations that responds to those needs. You've received many statements, I think, from women's groups, but today, Safira Ramshakar and Susan O'Malley of the NGO CSW New York Committee would like to give you a letter that's been signed by over 900 NGOs and individuals from 85 countries, pledging to work with you in supporting the United Nations, which we consider a very important global arena for women, but for all human rights as well, and to strengthen the commitments and the actions that we can take together over the next 4 years for gender equality and women's empowerment. With this letter, we would like to open more questions from the civil society. Thank you for your